Let's talk Cincinnati Bengals here for a little bit. Look, on this channel, and of course involving Cincinnati, we always like to talk about teams that make smart moves, teams that are run very intelligent. And the Bengals this offseason, really over the past year or two, have really been making a lot of really smart, long-term strategic moves that a lot of people are kind of missing here. They kind of slide under the radar, but it's really great stuff. The Bengals are being just doing a lot of great long-term thinking. And we've got an article that highlights why. Let's go right into this report. Then we'll talk about more in detail about what it means on the other side. But first, this is according to The Athletic. The Bengals are thinking about the future of the receiver room, and the one word that continued to surface in conversations with this team this week was explosiveness. As Cincinnati looks for what's next with Joe Burrow's targets, receivers who can be electric and creating big plays will move up the draft board. And that could mean sacrificing size, trying to find this year's Tank Dell or Jaden Reed on day two, but it's very much a point of emphasis. All right, looks like according to this report and other rumors that the Bengals are looking to target a wide receiver, an explosive wide receiver, most likely in day two of the NFL draft, second or third round. I think it's a smart move by Cincinnati. No, Mize, you've got some reasons specifically why and a sort of overall structure of the receiver room for Cincinnati. But first, Bengals fans in the comment section below, free agency, not that far away now. Give us one player you think the Cincinnati Bengals should go after aggressively to try and bring into the fold, and put that player in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on this report and just everything with the Cincinnati wide receiver room right now.
Yeah, Nick, when we take a step back and we look at the receiver room, I think going after a guy on the second or third round would be absolutely phenomenal for the Bengals because you take a step back and look at the receiver room now. You got Jamar Chase, who's going to probably get owed a huge chunk of money coming up soon. And they got T Higgins, who they have franchise tagged. And quite frankly, I don't think he will be back with the Cincinnati Bengals after this season. And I'll tell you exactly why. We look at a little bit of historical precedent set by the Bengals with the franchise tag in particular. You look since 2005, pretty much give me a little bit here. That's about the last 20 years, 19, but 20 years. The Bengals have tagged 7 players. Only 6 of them have remained with the team, and I'll go over the one caveat here as I go down the list. But let's start the most recent one. Jesse Bates III tagged in 22, signed with the Falcons in 2023. AJ Green tagged in 2020, signed with the Cardinals in 2021. Michael Johnson was tagged in 2013. He signed with Tampa in 2014. Shane Graham tagged in 2009, signed with the Patriots in 2010. Stacey Andrews tagged in 2008 and signed with the Eagles in 2009. The one caveat on this list is Mike Nugent. He was tagged in 2012, but he was a kicker. It's a relatively small amount of money for them to re-sign him to a deal. I think it's like $2.5 million deal. So nothing, I think this is more of the outlier than the norm. If we see these players, a lot of good players on this list, a lot of really interesting names, even Jesse Bates. Jesse Bates went on the next season, one of the highest graded safeties with the Falcons in 2023. So regardless if they're a good player or not, the Bengals have kind of set a precedent where the franchise tag is that last year for the player. They tag them, they try to get one more good year out of them, then they let them test the market and let them go. They usually price themselves out of Cincinnati. And T Higgins, same deal here. I think he's a great player. I think that they are going to try to have one more long-term, long playoff run with him here in this coming 2024 season. But unfortunately, due to his injury history, due to the amount of money that he wants, and due to the money that they're going to owe Jamar Chase, he has priced himself out of Cincinnati. And I feel 2025, we will not see T Higgins with the Cincinnati Bengals. That is why I think it's so smart. They're already thinking ahead, addressing the receiver room. Hopefully they go after a guy and pick up one of the numerous options in the second or third round.
Yeah, and you talk about historical precedent, right? This draft is historically great and historically deep at the wide receiver position, right? There's a funny meme going around that the fact that someone mocked 32 receivers, obviously in joke to go in the first round, with the point that there are 32 receivers that have a potential first round grade in this upcoming NFL draft. So in the second or third round, or you could trade up maybe even at the end of the third round too as an option, you could get a first round kind of receiver, which is the perfect time to go after it. Again, Tyler Boyd, he's leaving most likely, of course, testing the free agent market. You got Higgins, most likely, if historical precedent matters, and I think it does, will be gone after the season as well. And if you look at the structure of Cincinnati, it's clear to me they're going after the same design as the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Patriots. If you look at how those rosters were structured on the offensive side of the ball, it was pretty clear. Star quarterback, 1-star playmaker, pay them a lot of money, and then just a lot of good, solid players around them, and focus on the offensive line. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs did, right? Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, pay him a lot of money, then have just a good group around him. Make sure you invest in the offensive line. The New England Patriots with Tom Brady during their glory days, they had Brady, of course, Rob Gronkowski, his big playmaker, pay him a lot of money, invest around him with a good group of sort of skill guys around him, solid group, nothing special, invest heavily in the offensive line. The Bengals very intelligently are following that same strategy. They've got their Joe Burrow, they've got their big time playmaker, it's Jamar Chase. Now you just want to create a solid core around those guys and skill players, and then invest heavily in the offensive line. It's a tried and true method. The Patriots did it, won Super Bowls. The Chiefs did it, are doing it. They've won Super Bowls. The Bengals, I think if they execute it, they will be able to win Super Bowls, because it's important to understand, if you've got a great quarterback, if you've got the right coach, which I think the Bengals do, if you've got a great playmaker, if you've got good assistants, which I think the Bengals do as well, especially on the defensive side of the football, good solid special teams across the board. You got, I think Blackburn and Katie Blackburn's done a great job. So you got a good front office coming together now as well. All you really just want to make sure is you got a good, well-rounded, balanced team. That's what the Chiefs are. That's what the Patriots always were outside of those couple top line guys. And that's how they're always able to contend for Super Bowl titles. If you pay too much money at the top for a guy like Higgins, if you overpay to get your number 3 receiver like a Tyler Boyd, and you pay Higgins or whatever you end up doing there, you put yourself out of the market for having a balanced roster, and you start having weaknesses. You start going back to the days where the offensive line was terrible. Suddenly your defense falls off. You want to avoid that, because like Joe Burrow said, the title window in Cincinnati is as long as Joe Burrow is there. They just need to make sure he's got one playmaker he can trust. That's going to be Jamar Chase, and then a solid group around him in terms of nothing special, just good, solid players around him. Don't overpay for anybody. If they follow that strategy, which it looks like the Bengals are, I think they'll be set up for long-term success. Again, long-term planning out of Cincinnati, we're finally starting to see, and it's a great sign for the future of this franchise.